Internet Associates presents the Leadership Training Series, timely and current information that provides you with the knowledge, insight, and inspiration for building your e-commerce business. You will hear from some of the greatest achievers in business today. Timeless and up-to-date information that will help you achieve success.
I am very excited to introduce to you our next speaker. And part of the reason I'm so excited about this is because the information that she's going to share that we've been able to glean through this book, the reason I'm so excited about it is because we've been able to apply it in our lives with our family. And you know, it's one thing to reach a certain level of financial freedom and your kids know that when you say, honey, we can't afford it, it's not true anymore. They know that you can afford it, but to be able to take these principles and teach them to your children and talk about building wealth and making it a family business and a family process has been very exciting. And just to hear how my children talk, and my little 6-year-old decides that she wants to have her own business, and so she's trying to figure out, you know, how she can get paid to do laundry and how she can get paid to water the flowers and feed the dogs. Just all of this is so exciting. So I know you're really going to enjoy what our next speaker has to share with you. But she's the wife and mother of 3, CPA, professional manager, and consultant to the toy and publishing industries. Our next speaker, Sharon Lechter, has dedicated her professional efforts to the field of education. She and her husband are on the board of directors of Child Help USA, and this is a national organization to eradicate child abuse. They won the Spirit of Child Award, whose past recipient was Oprah Winfrey, so that is very significant. Yes, you bet. She created the Foundation for Financial Literacy and is a member of the Women's Presidents Organization. She is the co-author with Robert Kiyosaki on the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series of books. And as Wade mentioned, these books currently hold 4 of the top 10 spots on the Business Week bestsellers list. Sharon is a top educator and lecturer on the topics of financial literacy and creating wealth. And she will share insights on how to get out of the financial rat race and get on the fast track to creating wealth. So will you help us welcome Sharon Lechter?
I think I'm going to go out and come back in. I like the whistling. Well, my husband will be jealous. Thank you so much. What a great I really, really applaud you for and return the thanks to you for taking the time to come spend with me, because I'm really excited about what you're doing and you're taking the first step, and I really applaud you for that. I had the pleasure of meeting Jim Flor a couple of months ago when we were at an event in San Francisco at our company, and he asked me to come today and share a little bit of my own personal story with you before we start talking about your trip to the fast track of wealth. And I'm going to do that. But first, I'd like to try and just ask, how many of you have actually read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Can I see? Okay, now how many of you have not? And that's okay. They have them for sale in the back. Okay. But how many of you would like to increase your wealth? Every hand should be raised in the auditorium. Well, at Cashflow Technologies and RichDad.com, we measure wealth not in money, but in time. And I'm very, very fortunate. I've been very blessed in my life. As my introduction was, I was by education and by profession, I am a CPA. But first and foremost, I am the wife of a wonderful man, Michael Lechter, and the mother of 3 great kids. And I've been very blessed because I've been able to combine my professional life with the passions that I have as an educator and as a parent. And I think that's what Jim wanted me to share with you today. And I'm going to do that because it's going to tell you a little bit about the story behind RichDad.com, behind Robert Kiyosaki, and how we met and how our whole relationship got started. For 20 years, I've not practiced CPA. Believe me, do not ask me for tax advice. I bring Diane Kennedy along with me, so you ask her for tax advice. I've been starting and building businesses in my professional life, and I've been happy that most of them have been in the fields of education. When my own children, who are now 26, 24, and 19, were in the very beginning of their stage reading, I was really dismayed at the fact that kids were not reading anymore. I mean, do you share that? I mean, still today, they've stopped reading, and so I was really passionate about literacy. And I was fortunate enough to meet the young man, Zeb Billings, when he was 60. He started the Talking Book, the books with a sound strip down the side. And I joined forces with him, and we created that industry. And as parents, you either love them or hate them because they make noise. But we started a $1 million company. We took it from 1 to 9 to 25 million. We sold it to Golden Books, Western Publishing, and they took it on to 55 million and 115 million the following year. And it was an incredible opportunity to learn how to set up and run a business. And I was president of the company, but I didn't own the company. It was a really fantastic lesson for me. Very, very wealthy lesson for him. Good lesson for me. I got a bonus of 20,000. He walked away with 20 million. What's the difference here? But you know, it's a good learning opportunity. There are no mistakes. I want to hear it. There are no mistakes. There are learning opportunities. Absolutely, and that is how I try to live my life. As a mom, it's not always very good because I tend to tell my kids when they make mistakes instead of telling them they have learning opportunities. But I was working in this literacy field, and our oldest son went to college. And by Christmas, he'd been gone for 4 months, and he came home. He had gotten a credit card, and he was $1,000 in debt. And I was devastated. I'm a CPA. Hey, I taught my children about money. I taught them the same lessons that my parents taught me. So what went wrong? Well, our former First Lady said it takes a village to raise a child. I have to beg to differ with her. I think in today's world, the village is raising our children, and we have to take that power back in our home. We have to teach our kids about money. Thank you, fellow parents. And we can't turn back the wheel of technology. You've heard some incredible information today, and it has never been easier to get rich. We are in a time of the information age. It's never been more accessible. You don't have to have the credentials. You don't have to have the diplomas on the wall. You have an opportunity. It's in your power. We can't do it for you. We can bombard you with data, but you have the power to make that choice, and you've taken the first step by being here today, and I do congratulate you. Please congratulate each other. But I'd like to go on and share a little bit about Robert Kiyosaki, because when my son got into this trouble, of course, I figured I was a terrible parent. And so I took on a new crusade away from reading literacy and into financial literacy, and worked with a school system which was like climbing Mount Everest, and I didn't make it to the top. But trying to get them to update their math curriculum to include money and to include information about computers and how you can interrelate money and math and make people understand it. Math is a life skill. Math is a life skill, good. Money is a life skill. We teach our kids about vitamins. We teach them about the need for exercise, but we don't teach them about money. And whether they come out of school and become a janitor or the CEO of a company, they need to know how to deal with money. Don't you agree? So my passion turned into a crusade, and I wasn't winning it. But one day, my husband, Michael Lecter, is an intellectual property attorney. That means that he did a lot of school. He went and got an engineering degree, then he went back and became a lawyer, and so became intellectual property, and he's actually internationally known. His specialty is in the realm of computer science and software, protecting that. And he called me one day. Now, his integrity is incredible. He seldom ever calls me about client things, and never had and never has since, as far as that day I got a call, and it said, Sharon, I met this guy today. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. He has something you've been looking for. I thought, wow, what is it? He says, well, he's created this game, and we're filing a patent application on it, but I know you're going to love it. And he's having a beta test on Saturday. I said, great, I'll be there. And then I hung up the phone and went, uh-oh. Saturday, we were taking our then 19-year-old daughter, who is 24 today, to college, to her first apartment, and we were to leave at 9 a.m. So how many of you are parents of teenage women, teenage girls? Okay. Imagine yourself, honey, how'd you like to go play a financial board game before we go to college? After agreeing to a new bedspread, new curtains, and something else, she said, okay, fine, Mom. But with the promise that we would leave by 11:30. And I figured, well, I get her there. She's not going to embarrass me in front of anybody. So, okay, that'll work. So we went on Saturday, and we walked in the room, and it was the day that I met Robert and Kim Kiyosaki. And it was great. I looked at the game, and it was drawn out on sheets of paper. Looked suspiciously similar to this. 3 different tables of people playing. We sat down, and I am an accountant, so I understood the basic philosophy, and I thought, wow, this is really well thought out, well planned. In addition to books, I had some game experience, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. My daughter was next to me. Well, the game takes a while the first time you play it. And so 11:30 came and went. 12 came and went. About 12:30, we had a break, and so I said, well, I think we need to leave. So my daughter and I left, and they continued on for lunch and a debrief of the game. And for those of you who are parents of teenage children, I was waiting when the door closed behind us. It was like, here it comes, I'm going to get it. And my daughter said, Mom, that game was and I'm going, oh, awful. I'm sure that's what she's going to say. She said, Mom, that game was awesome. I went, what? What? And she said, I learned more in the last 3 hours than I have in the last 3 years of high school. This was a 19-year-old. Can you imagine? Now, how many of you would like to have your children say that to you one day? I figured I found my new project. I met with Robert and Kim, and actually Robert and Kim and Mike and I became friends because Michael became his lawyer, and they filed the patent application, and along the line, we started saying, well, we're going to have this game. It's got a video and 3 audio cassettes. It's going to be expensive. It is. It's $195. It's very expensive. It is to change your life, and we want you to commit to play it if you buy it. And it has the video and 3 audio tapes. It's a seminar in a box. So if you attend an all-day seminar, $195 isn't very expensive. But we thought, well, we're not hard sale kind of people. So we thought, well, we're going to write this little brochure. So if somebody wants more information about the game, we can send them something that costs $15, and then we'll feel more integrity from where we standpoint, because we want them to buy it. We want them to know what they're buying. So Robert had written this book, and when he speaks, he says it was about 350 pages. I'll let you, it was about 700 pages in his computer. And they had asked Mike if they knew an author, which was kind of comical because we had just finished 2 books together, my husband and I, and he said, so we became co-authors before I actually became a partner in the business. And I took Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and with Robert over a 6-month time, we took that 700 pages and came down to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was written as a brochure for the game. We now have over 6 million Rich Dad, Poor Dad in print in 35 different languages around the world. And I'd like to say it's because we did such a great job in marketing, but it's because of people like you. From the first time we issued and published the book, we'd have people call and say, I'd like to order a Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'd say, okay. And 3 weeks later, they'd call back and order a case. We are really overwhelmed by the reaction that we've had to our products. And now in January, the 5th Rich Dad, Poor Dad book in the series, which will be called Retire Young, Retire Rich, will be released. It'll be our 5th book. We have 3 board games. We have a whole arena of audio tapes and products, all geared to help you understand that it's how you think as much as what you do. You have the power to be as rich as you want to be. And we just want to help you make the choices and take the actions that you need to get to where you want to go. And that's what we're all about as a company. Cashflow Technologies, our mission statement is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. And we haven't yet had our 4th anniversary, but when we decided that that was going to be our mission statement, I felt a little, that's kind of a cheeky mission statement, to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. We're sitting around my kitchen table. I said, how are we going to accomplish that? And I will tell you, every day we get emails, we get faxes, we get letters that say, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm out of debt. I've just bought my first rental property. I started my own business. I didn't have the courage. Now I have the courage. And that means every time we get that letter, that email, we're accomplishing our mission. And that's what it's all about. One person at a time. One child at a time. It's our responsibility to teach our kids. The education they're receiving right now is not preparing them for the future that they face. We don't have the information we need, and it's so simple. Robert Kiyosaki is a gifted, gifted teacher. He has the ability to take a very complicated subject and make it simple and easy to understand. And I want to share a little bit of that with you today because it's how you think. It's not so much what you do, it's how you think and the actions that you take. This is called financial statements. Income, expense, that's your income statement. Asset, liability, that's your balance sheet. 99.9% of the world only live in the income expense income statement because it's called their checkbook. They get paid, they pay their bills, and at the end of the month, they don't have anything left. And my fellow accountants in the world, I'm going to ask you to try and put your education on the table next to you for a moment. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is an autobiographical story of Robert Kiyosaki. His poor dad was his biological father, and he became the head of education in the state of Hawaii and died broke. His best friend's father had to drop out of school in the 8th grade, and he became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. And we chronicle the lessons that Robert learned about money from both his rich dad and his poor dad. One of the most powerful issues that you'll read about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is Robert's poor dad would say, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. What does that do? It closes your mind. It closes your context. Robert's rich dad forbade him from saying, I can't afford it. He said, ask, how can I afford it? That opens your context. It gives you the opportunity to try and determine how you can move forward. It doesn't stop your forward progress. I can't afford it is an end. How can I afford it is a beginning. And that's what it's all about. I can't be rich is an end. How am I going to get rich is a beginning. And this is the beginning of your trip to wealth. And we're hopefully going to give you a little help to get along the way. What we want to talk about, though, Rich Dad went on a little bit and said, you have to understand financial literacy. You have to understand money. And it's not that tough. You want to buy assets, not liabilities. So Rich Dad said, it's really a simple definition. Assets put money in your pocket. What is it? Assets put money in your pocket. Pretty simple. Liabilities take money from your pocket. Got it? Liabilities take money from your pocket. That's an asset. It puts money in your income column. It's your employee in your asset column. It's your money working for you. Here's the liability. The liability's down there, and it's taking money out of your expense column every month. Let's look at the cash flow pattern of a poor person. That's what I was just talking about. They live out of their checkbook. Money comes in through their job and out through their expense column. Now, when you're lucky enough to get out of college and find the man or woman of your dream, get married, the two of you are in a house, all of a sudden you're in the middle class. You have a house, you have a mortgage, you get that new car. Of course, you got to get new furniture. Then you're going to have a big party because you want everybody to see your wonderful new house, car, and furniture. So you have all these liabilities. You got money coming in, but you're paying for the liabilities. So the only source of money is you going to work. What's wrong with this picture? Let's look how the rich do it. The rich buy assets that go into the income column and back into the asset column. Little rule, when a dollar goes in my asset column, it stays there forever because it keeps feeding me. And it pays for my liabilities. Just a quick little story about Cashflow Technologies. January 1998, the three of us, I was still running to the drugstore or to Kinko's to make copies. This is 98, just not too long ago. So we said, okay, $300 to buy a copy machine. Our policy is when we want to expend money, we find the income to pay for it. So we said, okay, what goal can we set? What new channel can we set? Where can we sell enough books to pay for that $300 copy machine? 5 months later, we bought a $3,000 copy machine. But it was because we have that philosophy and we walk the talk. We buy the asset that generates the revenue so we can buy what we want. We do not say cut up your credit cards and live below your means. Our philosophy is expand your means so that you can live the lifestyle you choose. Now, is that not a better philosophy? Expand your means so you can live the lifestyle you choose. And it's available to each and every one of you. Now, cash flow quadrant, it's a simple little diagram, and it is so powerful. There are 4 different kinds of people or different ways to earn money in the world. You earn money as an employee, as a self-employed individual or a small business owner, a regular business owner, or an investor. Simple. Well, let's look at it for just a second. Left side, employee, self-employed. In school, what do? We learn, we take tests, we work as an individual, right? You take tests, you have only one right or wrong answer. That's how we have programmed ourselves, and we are still programming our kids. An employee, it's really comfortable on the left side of the quadrant because it's an extension of school. You leave school, you go to work, and if you don't do your job right, you're gonna hear about it. There's only one right way to do your job. Self-employed individual, you heard of doctors, lawyers. They are incredibly intelligent people. They are specialists in their fields, and they know how to do it right because when they do it wrong, they get dire consequences. So let's look at the right side. Business owner and investor. The world is their oyster. There's no right or wrong on this side. There's lots of options. That's the freedom. And we talk about the left side, people, they're looking for security. It's called fear. We've been programmed. Why haven't you taken the steps you need to so far? It's because you're comfortable. You're comfortable. So let's get uncomfortable, all right? You need to take the steps to get yourself to the right side. We're not saying quit your job. We never say quit your job. But start a business on the side. Start minding your own business. One of our chapters in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. When you're an employee, you are working for your boss. And when they pay your withholding taxes, you are working for the government. When you pay your mortgage, you are working for the bank. You pay your credit card bills, you're working for the credit card companies. And when do you start working for you and your family? That's when you're building an asset. The left side of the quadrant is working towards the income statement. They're working for income. What's my hourly rate? What's my commission percentage? I work by the hour. What's my benefits? That's the left side. The right side, they don't care about the income. They want assets because they know the assets are going to generate the income. So they look for or build assets. And what kind of assets are there? Real estate, building businesses, and owning stock. 3 categories. And you have a smattering of each one. But the most successful entrepreneur has the most chance of becoming wealthy because they're building a business. Now just look around you in the room. Let's say there's 1,500 people here. How long would it take for 1,500 of you to line up and give me $1? Maybe an hour. And I'd have $1,500. How long would it take me to work to earn $1,500? That's the power of networking and owning a system. An employee has a job. They're working for their boss. An S owns a job. That's usually the worst because they're the chief cook and bottle washer. They do everything. A B owns a system, and an I has their money working for them. Left side of the quadrant, you're working alone. It's what we've been trained to do in school. One right answer, one wrong answer. I work on my own. Right side, it's called business and investing are team sports. Look around the room. What an incredible team that you have. It's incredible. The power that you have in networking, and it is a lot more fun than working by yourself, I think. Don't you? Okay. Now let's talk about income. If you're an employee or a self-employed individual, there are only so many hours in the day and only so many days in the week that you can work. And the more successful you become, the less time you have. Now, what do we say? Wealth is measured in time. So if I become a successful lawyer, like my husband, what happens to him? He's working 100 hours a week, and he still has people lining up because they want him. They want his advice. So the more successful he became, the more stressed out he became, and the less our children saw him. What is wrong with this picture? No time. Yeah, there was more money, but we wanted him. So we quickly recognized that there was something wrong in this formula. You need a business. A business owner can leave the business for over a year and come back, and it's stronger and more powerful than when they left because they created a system not dependent on them. They have a team of people that are working for them. The investor has their money. The velocity of money is funding what they want to do. I mean, I personally was very, very lucky because I have a father who was both rich dad and poor dad combined. He was a career Navy man, but retired from the Navy, went to work for Martin Marietta, and started his own business on the side, started buying real estate. He understood the philosophies. So when I met Robert, it was like, I know this, but why am I not living it? Why am I not teaching it? And so Robert has been a very powerful influence in my life, and I just am so honored to be part of sharing his message with you because it's an incredible opportunity, and it's just so simple. It's so, so simple. Now, what we've done, I share we have the 5 books. We are moving into a whole new arena. We are releasing 3 books today, 3 more in October, a new series of books called Rich Dad's Advisors. And Diane Kennedy is our tax advisor and our tax strategist, and her book is called Loopholes of the Rich. And Michael Lecter, my husband, his book is called Protecting Your Number One Asset. And the 3rd book is Sales Dogs by Blair Singer. And it says you don't have to be an attack dog to be successful in sales. And you say, well, I'm not really a salesperson. Believe me, we are all salespeople. If you are a parent, you are a salesperson. You might not be a good one, but you're still a salesperson. Everything we do in life is how we perceive it and how we communicate it. So his book is fantastic. Michael's book is called Protecting Your Number One Asset. Everybody in this room has had a $1 million idea. You just haven't capitalized on it. So Michael's book talks to you and shares with you how you can take that idea and protect it so somebody else doesn't make the $1 million. And his book is about intellectual property law. And then Diane's is Loopholes of the Rich, and she talks about the common tax strategies that are available to the right side of the quadrant. I'm not going to steal her thunder too much, but the left side, she's going to tell you there's not too much you can do on the left side. Diane, come on out.
How many people today are in the E quadrant now? Show of hands. Thank you. How many people are in the S quadrant now? Great. We had a few that were E and few were S, and I want to start off by talking to the E. As a tax strategist and a CPA, there's nothing I can do to help you. That's simple. Those people that were S's, well, there's some things I can do to help you, and trust me, you need it. You pay the most tax there is because the legal tax loopholes that exist are on the right-hand side of the quadrant. It's set up that way on purpose. That's because the government wants you to prosper in your business, because the business is what drives our economy. I'm going to give you just a couple of examples, but first of all, I want to start off with a statistic. A true statistic that exists in America today. The average American, the average 50-year-old American has a net worth of 0. The average 50-year-old American has paid $500,000 in taxes. IRS $500,000, you 0. Don't be average. Be better than average. Okay, here's a couple of tax loopholes just real quickly. My book, which is releasing today, Loopholes of the Rich, has hundreds of them. But I just want to share a couple that would be really appropriate for you to hear today. First of all, when you have a business, and you have a business when you make the decision you have a business, the cost of education is a deduction. The cost that it took you to get here today, your travel, your meals, the game that you might buy, cash flow game, tapes, books, all of that is a taxable deduction. Great, huh? Yeah. Okay, here's another one, and I think this is especially appropriate for California, and I'll tell you why in a second. But if you have a vehicle that is over 6,000 GVW, what that refers to is gross vehicle weight of your vehicle, in other words, a 4x pickup or an SUV, then there's a special deduction you get. In fact, for 2001, you can deduct $24,000. Because I'm short in time, I'm not going to go into all the particulars on it, but basically, an SUV can get you an extra deduction. However, in California today, with the price of gasoline, SUV now stands for stationary utility vehicle. They look great in the driveway, though. So that's a couple of examples of the kinds of loopholes that exist when you operate on the right-hand side of the quadrant. Get out of the left. There's no future there. That's where the statistics are against you. Thank you.
Thanks, dear. Thank you, Diane. She didn't know I was going to do that to her. She's a dynamite speaker, and it's been a very interesting couple of years to watch Diane in her own business because she is an extremely successful S as a tax strategist. And in the last 2 years, she has seen the opportunity, she has taken the opportunity to expand her own business so that she can do things like this today. She has a thriving B business that she does not have to be at every day in the tax strategy field. So she's really accomplished this move on her own, and she can help other people who want to do that as well. And her book is really incredible. I really recommend. She's got an appendix in the back that specifically talks about tax strategies in the multi-level marketing, network marketing arena that can be very helpful to you. Now, do you want to be in the rat race or do you want to be in the fast track? I don't think I heard any rat races. I didn't ask you where you are today, where you want to be. Well, I'd like to come back to the little board game that I talked about at the beginning, only because I think it's important to understand that I'm not up here to hawk my products, but the rat race and the fast track, this is a brilliant game. It has been awarded patents in the United States and internationally across the world. It's 2 tracks. The rat race is this little round one down here. That's where you start. That's where you stay for a while. You get a job. You start the game by getting a job. You could be a janitor, you could be an engineer, you could be a lawyer. And you get paychecks. You have babies. You have opportunities to be charitable. You have opportunities to buy assets, buy stocks, bonds, build businesses, buy real estate. So how do you get out of the rat race onto the fast track? And that's where the rich play the game of money. The fast track is the right side of the quadrant. So how do you get there? You get there by building passive income. Passive income as opposed to earned income. Earned income is you working for money. Passive income is your money working for you. Now, which would you rather have? Passive income, right? I got a call last week, email from a dad. He had been playing Cash Flow for Kids. We also have a children's game for ages 6 to 12. Same basic structure, same basic terminology, and it's right here. And he'd been playing Cash Flow for Kids with his 8-year-old and 10-year-old daughters. He said, I have to share this with you. They were in the kitchen on the floor playing Barbie. And my wife had a friend over, and then he said, you know how women are when they get together. Well, the friend was quite distressed over some money matters. And so she just got very exasperated, and she said, I just don't understand it. When do you ever get to the point where you can stop worrying about money? He said, my little daughter that's 10 years old did not look up. She's playing with her Barbies. She says, that's easy. When your passive income exceeds your expenses, that's when you can stop worrying about money. Now, that is awesome. It ranks right up there with my daughter. It's an incredible tool. Cash Flow for Kids, our children's game, is also patented. And we've been able to patent the use of financial statements in board games. It's an incredible experience. And what I want to share with you, the man's email had 2 extra points in it. He says, I really think this is special, and I wanted to share it with you for 2 reasons. Number 1, I never knew I could educate my kids while they were having fun. He said, she was having a great time, and she knows assets, liabilities, credit cards. In the kids' game, we actually bring in the bad side of credit cards as well as the good side of credit cards. So this child knows the difference of pay cash or charge it from this game. Then he said, that was really important that I saw that my child could learn and still have a good time. He says, but what's more important is that day, at that moment, my wife and her friend learned from my daughter. And that's really powerful. The week before, I'd had a call from a woman, and she said, I just have to tell you, I'm really, really thankful for your products. I love them. They are so good. I said, well, thank you so much. She said, but there's only one problem. And I said, okay, and I got my pad and my pen. I'm ready to take down notes. Something wrong with the Cash Flow for Kids game. She says, I was at the mall last week with my daughter, and I was just about to buy a pair of shoes, and my daughter says, Mommy, aren't those doodads? We do teach the thought that a lot of people buy things they call assets, like new shoes, new golf clubs, and unless you're Tiger Woods, they are not assets. And we call those doodads. Those are things that people buy they think are assets. I live in a very nice neighborhood in Phoenix, and I started seeing all these repossession trucks driving into my neighborhood, and I'm going, whoa, what is this? I had a neighbor that made about $16 million on a software deal. He wrote some software, and for the last 2 years, I've seen the Harleys, the Ski-Doos, the new cars, the SUVs, and it's been, whoa, he's doing very well. We're very proud of him. Well, what happened was he wasn't buying assets. He was buying doodads. And the market crashed. And he had a margin call. And he was looking good, but going nowhere. And you don't want to be the Joneses who look really good going nowhere. You want to build the assets so you can still buy the Ski-Doos and you can still buy the cars, but know that that money is going to come in whether or not you get it in your car and go to work or not, because your assets are working for you. And that's looking good and staying good, which all of us want to do. Now, our new book, we have a new book out, and it's called The Business School for People Who Like Helping People. The left side, they work. We work, we look for work. Right side, you build systems, you network. That goes back to my example of 1,500 of you giving me $1 versus me having to work till I got $1,500. Now, in our third book, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing, we talk about our definition of investing, which is building or buying, creating assets. We talk about the 3 asset classes. We talk about real estate, paper, portfolio, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and we talk about real estate. Now, my passion, as I told you at the beginning, is building businesses. I love it. I love building businesses. So we created the BI triangle, and I'm going to show you the inside and the middle. But the issue when you create a business is you have to start with a mission. And that mission needs to have 2 facets. One, our mission obviously is to find our own financial independence. But our mission is also to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. So we have a spiritual mission as well as a personal financial mission. And the leaders in this organization, all of the leaders, they have their own mission. They want the nice passive income at the end of the month. But they don't need to be here today. They're already on the fast track or almost there. They're here to help you. And their mission is to help other people find their financial independence. And that's the definition of a true leader. But you have your mission, you have your leadership, and you have your team, or you build your team. You don't do it alone. That was school. That was an employee. And it's a whole lot more fun with a team. We chose to build our own company, Cashflow Technologies. Our website's richdad.com. And it's been 4 years, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot of hard work. You have to have a cash flow system. You have to have a communication system, both about your product and internally and to your investors. You have to have systems that keep your company flowing, so you make your products and you get your products, and you have to protect them, the legal side. If you don't protect it, you could be out of business next week if somebody with more money can take over the market. The product is very important, but as you see, it's the least important, because if you have the team, the leadership, the mission, and you have the right systems, you have the entire picture. You have everything you need to have a successful company. Now, the BI triangle, this BI triangle is necessary if you have a hot dog cart. You still have to have all those things in place. You got to have your license. You got to know how to take money. You have to be able to give change. All of those. AT&T has all of these systems. They just have to be a little bigger. Now, what is so beautiful about this industry and what Jim Floor's organization can offer you is that these are all waiting for you. And you can do it part-time. They are all there. I mean, I love it. It's so beautiful. I've learned a lot just by looking at this organization. You have the ability to plug into an established and successful and proven cash flow system. communication system, all the systems of how those products are made and delivered, it's all done and it's protected. What a wonderful opportunity to move from the left side to the right side with a small entry fee and part-time. You don't have to quit your job. So many of us get ourselves into a position we can't afford to stop working. We still have to pay the bills. We have children to think of. But what a wonderful opportunity, because this organization allows you to work with your family. It gives you more time. And that's what life is all about. And you have that opportunity. You have the opportunity to start now and start small. But every one of these leaders will tell you it's not easy either. You can't just join and expect in 2 months you're financially independent. You have to work at this business just like you have to work at every other business. But it's networking. And by networking, you're building a network of passive income that's going to allow you to make that shift to the right side of the quadrant. Our new book is The Business School for People Who Like Helping People. This is Robert and I collaborating about this industry. We are not part of this industry, but we recognize the value that this industry provides to people. We talk about the 8 hidden values of a network marketing business other than making money. When you look at the left side of the cash flow quadrant, that's how school prepares you for the left side. The right side, Rich Dad, Cash Flow Technologies, we educate you for the right side, but so does this organization. They have an incredible lifelong educational program that can help you. Plus, they have built-in mentors. It helps you to establish your dream and helps you realize it. And it's a wonderful organization. It's a wonderful industry for someone who needs to start now. And we all need to start. Now, I'm gonna close with a little parable. And it happens to be in the book because it was one of my favorites. I usually talk about my weight, but that's all right. I'll use the one in the book. There are 3 cats on a fence. 2 decide to get off. How many are left? I hear 1. I hear 3. Okay, so you've already read the book, haven't you? Okay. You're cheating. We call it cooperative learning. We don't call it cheating. That's what they do in school. There were 3 cats on a fence. 2 decided to get off, but they took no action. You've made a decision today to be here, and I congratulate you for that. But you have to do more. You have to take action for your own family and for your own financial future. Thank you.
This recording and the information offered on it have been produced independently by INA. All references to earnings, travel, and lifestyle do not constitute a guarantee or promise of earnings. This is copyrighted property. Any unlawful use or duplication without prior written consent is prohibited by law.